I'm Regina.
I'm sitting in my new, quiet apartment, looking at my baby boy, Nicholas, sleeping soundly in his crib. The sunlight filters through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the room. It's hard to believe how far I've come from the nightmare I once lived. It all started on that fateful night at the Grand Harbor Hotel. I had spent the afternoon rehearsing in my mind the moment I would tell my husband, Ryan, that after 10 long years of struggling with infertility, I was finally 4 weeks pregnant. The news had come that morning, a quiet, almost surreal confirmation of a dream I had almost given up on. I wanted the reveal to be special, and since Ryan had been so caught up in his company's big celebration at the hotel, it seemed like the perfect setting. I rented a simple black catering uniform to keep my identity a secret. I didn't want to spoil the surprise by him seeing me too soon. I tucked my hair into a low bun, applied light makeup, and slipped the envelope with the pregnancy test results into my blazer pocket. As I looked at myself in the mirror, I whispered, "Tonight, he'll finally know." When I arrived at the hotel, the lobby was filled with the kind of opulence that comes with a high-profile event. Guests in elegant evening gowns and tailored suits filled the space, exuding the confidence that comes from successful careers in New York's cut-throat business world. I kept my head down and made my way to the service entrance, where catering staff were bustling in and out with trays of champagne. No one paid me any attention, which was exactly what I needed. Inside the grand ballroom, the party was in full swing. Soft jazz music filled the air, and guests were networking, laughing, and toasting to another milestone for Ryan's advertising agency, Sterling and Company. I scanned the crowd for Ryan. There he was, in the center of the room, looking as dapper as ever in his charcoal gray suit. But something was off. He wasn't his usual charming self, mingling with clients and colleagues. Instead, he stood with a drink in his hand, his eyes constantly fixed on the entrance. My heart tightened. He seemed tense, as if waiting for someone important, and I had a sinking feeling it wasn't me. I tried to brush off my unease, telling myself that he was just stressed from work. His company was expanding, and he had been chasing a new partnership for months. Maybe he was expecting an investor. I moved closer, weaving through the servers with an empty tray in my hand. I needed to get close enough to place the envelope on his champagne tray without him suspecting anything. My heart was pounding with a mix of excitement and doubt, but I was determined to give him this moment. Just then, the ballroom doors opened, and a young woman entered. She was no more than 22 years old, with an air of effortless confidence that came from a life of privilege. Her name was Isabella Montgomery, and I recognized her from the articles Ryan had shown me about her family's real estate empire. Her dress sparkled under the chandeliers, and her hair was styled in perfect waves. The moment Ryan saw her, his entire demeanor changed. He set down his drink and rushed towards her with an eagerness that made my stomach turn. He hadn't looked at me like that in months. He placed his hand on the small of her back, and she beamed up at him, her hand lingering on his forearm. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I forced myself to move closer, and as I did, I overheard whispers from nearby tables. "They look perfect together," one woman said. "Everyone at the office knows they've been together for months." My heart felt like it was being ripped apart. I edged closer to Ryan and Isabella's table, and their conversation became crystal clear. "I promise it won't be long," Ryan was saying. "The divorce papers are already being drafted. I'll be free soon." The word free hit me like a bullet. I felt the room spin, and my fingers tightened around the champagne flute I was holding. Isabella leaned in and said, "My parents are serious. They won't sign any deals with you until it's official. You know how they are." Ryan quickly replied, "I understand. Once everything is finalized, we can move forward with a partnership and our future." I backed away, my steps slow and deliberate. I slipped into the service corridor, where I leaned against the wall, my legs trembling. I pulled out the envelope with the pregnancy test, and the paper shook in my hands. The child growing inside me was no longer the celebration I had imagined. My marriage was over. I decided to stay silent for the time being. I needed to understand why Ryan had done this, why he was willing to throw away 10 years of our lives for a young woman and a business opportunity. When I got home, I entered Ryan's office. It used to be a place where we shared dreams and planned the early days of his agency. But now, it felt cold and sterile. I turned on the desk lamp and started going through his folders. I soon discovered some disturbing things. There were contracts with shady consulting firms, payments routed through shell companies, and clients with scandalous histories. Ryan's agency wasn't just doing PR, it was laundering reputations and covering up fraud. I also found handwritten notes instructing employees on how to create fake testimonials and manipulate social media metrics. I realized that Ryan's ambition had turned into corruption. He had been hiding these secrets from me all along. I took photos of all the documents, knowing that this could be my weapon against him. 2 days later, I decided to take action. I disguised myself as a consultant named Lily Thompson and went to the Montgomery Model Agency. I met with Mrs. Montgomery, a powerful and elegant woman. I hinted at the unethical practices of a certain advertising agency without naming names, planting a seed of doubt in her mind. A meeting with Mr. Montgomery, the patriarch of the Montgomery family, was arranged. I arrived at his private conference suite with the evidence I had collected. When I showed him the documents, his face grew stern. He ordered his assistant to verify everything. After the assistant confirmed the authenticity of the documents, Mr. Montgomery turned to me. "Ryan has been deceiving my daughter and using our family name for his own gain," he said. I told him what I wanted, for Ryan to face legal consequences and for financial security for my unborn child. He agreed, and we formed an alliance. 3 days later, Ryan walked into his office expecting a normal day. Instead, he was met with IRS agents and auditors. His company's accounts were frozen, and clients started dropping him like flies. He had no idea what was happening, and when he tried to reach Isabella, she distanced herself from him. As the days passed, Ryan's world crumbled. He was arrested on charges of federal tax fraud, wire fraud, and falsification of business records. I watched as he was led away in handcuffs, feeling a strange mix of relief and sadness. That afternoon, I received a text from Mr. Montgomery. The charges were confirmed, and Ryan would likely serve several years in prison. He also assured me that my child's future would be protected. Later, I received a call from a family law attorney. The divorce petition was ready, and the court would expedite the proceedings due to Ryan's infidelity and financial misconduct. I signed the papers and left them for the attorney's courier. In the midst of all this chaos, an old friend entered my life. Dr. Ethan Harris, my fertility specialist, reached out after hearing about my situation. He offered his support during my pregnancy, and I gradually let him in. He was there for me through every step of my pregnancy. He drove me to prenatal appointments, helped me assemble the baby's crib, and was by my side when I went into labor. When Nicholas was born, Ethan was the first to place his hand on the baby's back. As the weeks passed, Ethan and I grew closer. It wasn't a passionate romance, but a gentle, steady connection built on trust and care. Looking at Nicholas now, I know that my life has changed for the better. Ryan belongs to the past, a chapter that is closed and locked away. I've found a new sense of peace and renewal, and I'm grateful for the second chance at happiness.